Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Andrea and it's nice to have you guys here. I have no script for this video. We are just going to wing it and see if it works. So I thought I would kind of start a little mini series here on the channel. I think I'm just going to call it like Fibro Chats or something. I had a new subscriber contact me recently who found me through my previous fibromyalgia video and who asked if I could talk more about flares specifically, and I thought that would be a good topic to cover. And there are just some other things that it would be nice to talk, and now that I know there is a bit more of a community following me on here who are interested in the fibromyalgia videos, I like the fact that I've left this channel open enough that particularly on Tuesdays I can kind of talk about whatever I want to talk about. So it would be nice to talk about fibro a little bit more. After the first video I got a lot of great feedback. I think it's good for a lot of us if I maybe start doing some of these videos, so let me know. And if you have anything specific that you would like me to talk about in relation to my experience with fibro, definitely put it in the comments below. So just to recap slightly, if you want to know the full story, I will try to link the previous fibromyalgia video somewhere, either up in a card or down below. So my case is not super severe. It was definitely moderate leaning towards severe when I was first diagnosed. Now that I'm several months past my diagnosis and several months into trying to treat it and doing things specifically to try to treat the fibromyalgia, because obviously I've been dealing with this for a lot longer than the diagnosis, but I wasn't really doing anything pre-diagnosis to specifically address the symptoms that I was having because I didn't know it was fibro, and so I couldn't really treat it as such. But now that I've been doing physical therapy, I'm taking a lot of different vitamins and supplements to try to help. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm not on any medications for my fibro. That is a completely personal choice that I've made. It's no judgment to anyone who does choose medication. My body is just super, super sensitive to medications, and I tend to have more of a problem from side effects of drugs than I do from the fibro symptoms that I'm already dealing with. So that is my choice, but medication is definitely something to discuss with your doctor, something to keep in mind in terms of how your body reacts to medications and drugs, because every body is different. So my case is definitely more mild to moderate these days, I would say. I still have it. I still struggle with it. Some days are still definitely a struggle, and I do still get flares. I would say compared to some friends of mine who have fibro or similar conditions, my flares are not quite as severe and they're not quite as frequent, but I did recently get hit with a pretty bad one, the worst flare I've had probably since I was diagnosed. That happened during October. It happened during Vlogtober, which is why my videos kind of took a hit. I still managed to upload every day, but there was a period, some of you might remember, where I think I had like 2 pre-filmed videos in a row, and yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. That was why I had pre-filmed videos ready, because I didn't know how I was going to feel all month. And that flare really knocked me out. I could not finish my physical therapy session that week. I couldn't do the treadmill. I had to sit and do the recumbent bike just because walking, I just felt dizzy and everything hurt. I couldn't finish all of my exercises. I think I got through my stretches and my squats, and then my therapist was ready, because usually I work out with a therapy tech, and then I go and have my physical therapy session where she actually works on my back. She was ready earlier, so I kind of put my workout on pause, and by the time she was done working on me, I couldn't do anything. I think I spent 2 days lying in bed. I think I had to teach at some point during that. That whole flare is just a complete blur. I just remember being in way more pain than I'd been in months, way more tired than I'd been in ages. I was just a mess. And I was in so much pain, and it was just such a noticeable difference from how I usually felt that like it had to be a flare. It could only be a flare. One of the things that the recent subscriber had messaged me about, she asked if I could talk about how, I think she asked if I could talk about how I can tell when a flare is coming. She, and like me, I'm having the same struggle. It's sometimes hard to figure out what is actually a flare and what is just the regular fibromyalgia symptoms. Like at what point is it actually a flare? And it's hard to tell because I think everyone's flares are a little bit different. I think the way that I knew that was a flare was I felt so different from how I normally felt. It was just such a drastic difference. And I kind of could tell that it was coming. I kind of knew going into it. There were a couple of days that I was vlogging before the pre-filmed, and I mentioned in those vlogs that I thought I was beginning to have a flare. It started on a Friday, I think, or no, Saturday. I'd gone to Costco. All I had done that day, literally all I did that day was go to Costco, which, as my therapist said, that can be a traumatic experience. But still, I only went to Costco. By the end of the day, by that night, I felt like I'd climbed a mountain. My legs felt just as tired and sore as if I'd spent all day hiking. And again, all I did was go and walk a lap around Costco. Sunday, I woke up. I could hardly wake up. I was so tired. And I went to lunch with my mom and my sister. I was practically falling asleep at the table. I was just, the pain wasn't as bad at that point in the morning, but the fatigue was just, I haven't felt that tired in several months, since kind of before I got diagnosed. We then went shopping, and as we were shopping, my back was just locking up, my neck. What tends to happen to me is basically from the base of my skull down to the lowest part of my back going into my hips, it feels like it just clenches up. It gets really tight and really painful, and there's almost nothing I can do. It's not good. And so that's what was happening. And so by the time Sunday was done and I was back home, I knew I was having a flare. It was the only thing that made sense. So Monday I kind of just stayed in bed because I only go out to teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Monday I tried to just rest. Tuesday I went and taught, and then I came home and went to bed. I just was trying to focus on getting as much rest as possible. What I've noticed is when you are having a flare, the absolute worst thing you can do is push yourself. So I kind of probably shouldn't have gone shopping on Sunday after feeling so bad Saturday night and not being able to wake up. But Sunday is kind of a standing date with my mom and I. We go to lunch and then we go do our grocery shopping. And I had to go grocery shopping, so that was rough. But I definitely probably shouldn't have. There are things I could have done differently, but oh well, you live and learn. So I think learning, kind of knowing what your body's baseline is. Like obviously I don't feel perfect every day, but there is kind of a normal for me. So minor aches and pains, a little bit of difficulty waking up, that I'm used to, but I do kind of notice days where it's worse. I will say during that time of the month, you girls know what I'm talking about, the fatigue just gets a million times worse. It's really hard for me to wake up during like the first 3 or 4 days. It's really, really hard. I think learning to treat flares the way I treat that time of the month is kind of what I've tried to start doing, because I kind of have a battle plan for that. I know how to handle that time of the month. I know when I'm starting to feel the symptoms of it starting. I know that my stomach gets really weird, my back starts to hurt, and I get really tired. And so I then kind of adjust my schedule and plan things accordingly, knowing that there's going to be a couple days that I'm going to be completely useless. So learning to kind of read those early signs of a flare. If I'm really tired and I can't wake up, I try to keep my activity levels not completely to a minimum, because being active does help, but if it's kind of like, if we go by spoon theory, which just Google spoon theory and it will explain everything. I'm not a huge fan of spoon theory, but it's an analogy that a lot of people are familiar with, and so it kind of works. So we'll run with it for today. So if we're going along with spoon theory, we all have a limited amount of spoons in the drawer that we can use. If I feel that a flare is coming on and I have suddenly much fewer spoons to use, some kind of physical activity, whether it's a walk around the block, doing some yoga in the apartment, going to physical therapy, that is still worth using up however many spoons it's going to use up. Cleaning, doing laundry, running errands, those are things that I will then wipe off my schedule. Physical activity, I find, as long as it's like mild to moderate, like a nice easy walk around my neighborhood. Physical therapy, I can kind of tailor that with them. We can have it be super intense and a full cardio circuit, or we can go really slow, and that's good too. So I'll kind of tailor that a bit. All of those things do help give me more energy. So that's kind of the last thing that I'm willing to cut out. But if I'm having trouble waking up and I'm feeling kind of achy in my body and I think, okay, I think I might be getting a flare, if I have on my schedule go to Target and go to Costco and do all these things, no, I will cut all those things off of my to-do list for that day. And what I found is sometimes when I do that, it almost prevents a flare from fully developing. That might just be me, I don't know. It's a really weird thing to talk about because it really is different for everyone. But there have been times where I've woken up and I've just really not felt right and something's not going right. And I make those adjustments and the next day I'm back to feeling a bit more normal. So I really think it's just important to listen to your body. I think that's something that everyone, even if you don't have fibromyalgia, needs to do. Grad students, we're notorious for pushing ourselves until we break. And it's important that we kind of read those signals that our body sends us. If we're struggling to wake up, if our neck is starting to hurt from looking down at a book for hours on end, maybe it's time to kind of put the book away for a little bit. So kind of listening to your body, making sure that you're doing good things for it. Anyway, I've been rambling a lot. I hope I kind of answered the question that had gotten posed to me. It's really difficult. It's hard to say these are the signs that you are having a flare versus just regular stuff, because I think everyone is different, and so our triggers and our flare symptoms and our warning signs are all going to be a little bit different. But I think when you are having a flare, so I had the benefit, I wasn't writing anything down, but I had the benefit that I was vlogging at the time. So I can look back at those vlogs and see what I was doing in the days leading up to it and kind of how I was feeling in the days leading up to it. I think paying attention, keeping a daily symptoms log might help, and just writing down how you're feeling, even if it's a simple, maybe I should do this, just some kind of chart, checklist, on a scale of 1 to 10, what were your symptoms like on this day? I think there are warning signs, but if you're not paying attention to it, it's going to be harder to figure out what those warning signs are, and it's going to be harder to figure out when they're coming and which ones specifically precede a flare. So being a little bit organized with that and starting to keep a record or a log might help. I'm going to try to start doing that, and then we'll see. I've got a low battery light, so I'm going to wrap this up. I hope this helped. It's kind of helpful for me to kind of ramble and talk about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up if this helped at all. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you talk about fibro on your channel and you've found this one, please let me know. I'd love to find more fibro channels or channels that talk about their fibro experiences as part of their content. And yeah, I'm gonna shut up and go teach. I've got 15 minutes to get ready before I have to go teach. So I will see you all soon in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.